Alrighty, folks, he's back and he's coming back monthly. Today, we're going to talk about why most Airbnbs are losing money in 2025. And most importantly, how can you stop the bleeding? Rob, how you doing? Thanks for coming back. My audience really loved our first conversation. Thanks for saying yes, coming back.
Of course, man. Yeah, we keep it spicy on here, and I've got plenty more hot takes in the Airbnb world as the Airbnb guy, or at least one of them.
There you go. Well, one of the things my audience has often been asking for is bringing on that short-term rental expert. I'm glad you're in the Rolodex now. Bring in the heat, bring in the fire. I want to kind of talk about how people make money in short-term rentals today, how it's done. And I think we should start with just the realization that 2025 is not 2022, right? It's a very different environment for Airbnb. But I still believe in the model. It's not something I do, but I believe it's in the model. If you focus on it, you become elite. You can still make a shit ton of money, but maybe some people got to stop the bleeding. So what say you?
Yeah. So here's the deal. I'm a big believer in the Airbnb model. I think it's a hard model, harder than talked about. Generally speaking, I talk about my issues and the problems that I have at the cost of maybe looking inexperienced or like a newbie. Like, I make a lot of dumb mistakes. I've got 45 units. And every day I make a mistake, but those mistakes strengthen kind of my operations. And one of the things that I've noticed is that there's this narrative out there right now that Airbnb is over. Nobody's traveling right now. And I think what's happening is that Airbnb is getting more competitive and people are traveling, but they're just choosing to spend more money at some of these bigger, more amenity driven Airbnbs. And so all the people that are like kind of the bottom 80% are having to fight for bookings. Whereas like the top 20%, really the top 10%, like we're chill. We're not struggling. We're doing really quite well. This has been kind of my standing theory that if you're the top 10% of the market, you really don't ever have to worry about things. And one of the theories that goes into this is oversaturation, and how saturation basically is a bad thing. Oh, Airbnb is oversaturated. There's nothing, there's no more people booking. There's too many listings. I personally believe saturation is a beautiful thing. So maybe we can talk about some of those myths, some of the things that people should look out for an Airbnb. And I guess the headline is, it's not an easy game anymore. It's a fun game, but it's not an easy game.
I think that's an important place to start, because this isn't, again, I'm an outside guy looking in. That's something I've never done. But I've spoken at many events where it was kind of me, long-term rental guy, and a short-term rental, I don't know, guru. And, 2022, I was often called a boomer, right? Like, you don't get it. Why don't you switch to short-term? You're leaving thousands of dollars on the table. And, my answer, because I had 18 years in the business at that point, was like, guys, I have kind of, B and C class housing. And, I have enough hard time getting long-term rentals to stay there. How is a short-term rental going to stay here? That doesn't make logical sense to me. And then, of course, for at least a year and a half, people were printing money, buying crap properties.
Yep.
But now, again, outside guy looking in, a lot of those people are losing because I think they had timing. They got timing right, and they didn't realize it was a business.
I mean, dude, if you think about it, just like I just got a seller finance property a couple years ago, like 2 years ago. Interest rates were 8% at that time. I got it for 3%.
Nice. The
difference between that mortgage and so the 3% is like $1,900 PITI.
Okay.
If I had gotten it traditionally at an 8% mortgage, we're talking like $2,900, maybe $3,000.
Yeah.
So $1,000 spread on the low side, meaning that over the course of the year, had I bought traditionally, I was going to spend $12,000 more in interest, AKA make $12,000 less in profit. Correct. The same is true for people that bought in 2020. Let's just say 2017, 2018, 19, 20, like when I got in, the golden era. 2021, 2022. If you bought at a 3% interest rate, effectively, you had a $12,000 spread of like extra profitability. And so you could get really lucky and buy a so-so Airbnb, but because interest rates were so low, you'd still do all right. And
Got
so
it.
people kind of went into it thinking, oh, I'm a genius, myself included. I mean, we all thought we were geniuses. The
Yeah.
difference is some of us realized we were dumb and needed to learn a lot. And then the other people were like, I'm a genius. I'm going to go buy houses at 8% because this thing is working so well for me. They go out and buy the 8% interest rates. And now that $12,000 spread is gone.
Right.
And now they're
Got
breaking even, making $500 a month, losing money, a little bit of in between. And then there's this new crowd that I think are starting to realize the pain of all the people that bought from 2017 to 2022 on the premise of bonus depreciation, saying like, well, I don't even
Yeah.
care if it loses a little bit of money because I'm going to save $50,000 or $80,000 or $100,000 in taxes. So if I lose $1,000 a month, doesn't matter. I saved 80K. And then after 5 years of losing $1,000 a month, they've lost $60,000, which only puts them ahead on taxes, $20,000. And then after 5, 6, 7, 8 years, they're actually in the negative. And now all those people are getting out too. So
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up.
Yeah.
In my book, I call that an alligator. And again, I talk as somebody who bought their first house in 2001, refied it in 2005, didn't know the bank would overlend on the property. And pretty soon I'm looking at a mortgage payment that's like $1,700 and rent's $1,200. I'm like, I'm losing $500 a month before anything breaks. What kind of stupid shit is this?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I've
Then
seen
you have
a
your AC
lot of
go
people
out,
yeah.
10 grand. And I mean, I got properties right now that I got a $10,000 leak in my Gatlinburg chalet right now. It's the water line between the house and the city. We got quoted 10,000. It's ridiculous. I don't think it's worth that. So I'm getting like 3 more quotes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I've called around and everyone's like, yeah, I think they just don't want the job. So they're giving you a stupid number. But reality is my place is shut down now, and not getting it fixed ASAP also means that I'm losing thousands.
Yeah. Sure.
So all to say, I think there's all that. Okay. You got the people that bought and had this spread and they're like, oh yeah, like they're flying really close to the sun. You have the bonus depreciation people that their losses are compounding at an alarming rate. And then they can't even sell it because if they do, they're either upside down on equity or they got to pay
depreciation recapture. Yep.
And then you have all the people that did both of those things. And now they have $10,000 leaks or $10,000 ACs. Not only are they losing money monthly, not only are they forced to pay recapture if they sell, but they've got CapEx. And so all of that is a perfect storm of people saying, guys, the asset class sucks. But it's not true, because if you had just bought correctly, if you had bought a deal that had enough margin, if you had analyzed a deal that would make you $20,000, $30,000 or $40,000 a year in net profit, that wouldn't really be an issue. And so those people are very loud.
I have a question for you as the Airbnb guy. You know, one of the most often quoted things in real estate, obviously, is location, location, location. Is that true in Airbnb? I mean, it didn't, again, as the outsider in 21, it didn't seem like location was that important. To your point, interest rates hit a lot of this. But in 2025, does location even matter? Is it important?
Yes and no. Location matters if that's the big amenity that you have. Like, you're never going to be able to compete, no matter how amazing your Airbnb is, you're never going to be able to compete with an amazing location. So let's take a beach market, for example.
Okay.
If you're within the highway, okay, and you're in that section of the beach that's like walking distance to the beach.
Yep.
No matter how cool your Airbnb is on the other side of the highway, where you have to drive to the beach, you will never make as much as those beach properties.
Got it.
So it matters in that instance. Now, where that changes is there is a secondary group of people traveling to the beach. And those people are the people that can't afford to book by the beach. They have to book on the other side of the highway.
Okay.
So at that point, you can be the kingpin of the second best amenity, which is a whole list of things, right? So once you sort of like realize that, oh, I can't compete with location. All right, you're never going to beat those people. That's okay. But you can still be like second, third, fourth, fifth, 10th place and still make a lot of money. And so a lot of people are like, they'll go to a beach market and say, well, I can't afford a beach house, so I'm not even going to look there. When what they should be saying is, well, how much are the people on the other side of the highway in a beach market making? Let me look at those deals and let me see how I can make the most money in those neighborhoods. So yeah, location is important, but it's really expensive. Generally speaking, I am not looking for like location, because A, it's expensive.
Sure.
B, it typically means that you have a lot of neighbors and you're in a really tight neighborhood.
Probably
because you're within the city. And if you're designing the types of Airbnbs that like Funkit, my interior design company, the kind of Airbnbs that I'm launching with pools, like above ground pools, pickleball courts, mini golf, places where people actually hang out in the backyard, that's going to upset your neighbors over time. And that is the big perception with Airbnb, is that it's tearing down, neighborhoods. It's destroying the peace. I'm a believer in that. There's some truth to that. And it's because hosts, they don't think about that. Like they don't care. They care about the money. For me, the last thing I want is a squeaky neighbor. And let me tell you, I got one right now. My house is not even a party house. It's just, but there are 10 people in the backyard drinking beer and talking. And that is kind of loud,
Sure.
And so for that reason, like if you're asking me what I prefer to invest in, a corner lot in the spaced out neighborhood, 10, 15, 20 minutes outside of downtown, where it's a little bit more just spaced out. I don't want to be in a crammed, neighborhood where you've got the chances of, it's no fun to have a neighbor that hates you. That's like, there's nothing worse in business than that, in the Airbnb business. Luckily I've mitigated that mostly, but it sucks, man. So to answer your question, location can be important if that's your strategy, but it's really expensive and your margins will be less. Your appreciation will be higher, but you'll make less cash flow.
Got it. I love that answer. Love both sides of that. I love the analogy of this side of the freeway, that side. I think it makes sense. And again, you could dominate either side, depending how deep your pockets are. I like that.
Can I give you an example of that?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Please.
So I've got a property in Austin, Texas. It's called the Pink Pickle. Okay. It is a bachelor, it's a bachelorette party home. All the avatar is bachelorettes, right? So it's got a pickleball court in the backyard. Bachelorettes, they have a certain imagery associated with them and shape, the shapes that that bachelorette celebrate. So that's why it's called the Pink Pickle. A woman named it. It wasn't me. It wasn't a guy that was like, let me name it this. It's funny. Like my partner Bridget at Funkit, she's like, let's call it this. And I was like, great. That property is 20 minutes outside of Austin, Texas. The comps in that part of town say that property should make $55,000 a year. Net,
and that's gross.
Gross
or net?
Yes. No, gross. Meaning I'd probably make like 10K a year. Okay. 5 to 10K. That's what the comps say. Now, knowing that I'm that far outside of Austin, one thing that I know is I'm probably never going to compete with the people in Travis Heights, South Congress, like in just that kind of downtown vibey area. Like if people want to, if they want to go there, Rainy Street, these are the popular parts of downtown Austin. People go to Austin for that specific thing. Okay. So I will never capture those people. But what I can do is create a destination that will capture a certain type of group, which in my case is bachelorette parties.
Sure.
And as a result, that property will do $120,000 this year. Let's see, we're in September. Last month I did 19K on a on a $2,500 mortgage, give or take. I did quite well on that property.
Yeah, no job.
So I have more than 2x'd what the competition in my neighborhood will make, because but I'm really far outside of the city. So
yeah, let's talk about this. This is why I love talking to experts and people who are elite. You've made a choice to be outside the market. You know who you won't get, but you said, hey, who can I get? In this case, bachelorettes. And you are so focused on your avatar, you have 2x'd or more what the quote unquote system says you should make, right? You should make 50, you're making 6 figures because you've taken a market that was this big to here, and you are so laser focused on bachelorettes. You got a cute name. I can already see the pictures you've got done. And if you're a bachelorette looking to have, I mean, how many people would it sleep? Like 8,
16.
Oh my God.
16.
So yeah, you and your 15 other girlfriends what's the average? Is it like a 4-day stay? What's the average stay? I have no idea.
3-day stay. So I'll show you really fast if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
Can I share?
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Is that allowed? So check it out.
Of course.
So everything about the property is pink, right? So Pink Pickleball Court. We've got an above ground pool. All right. You don't have to spend $100,000 on a pool. This pool costs $20K. All right. It's a literal $1,000 Intex above ground pool with a really luxurious deck built around it.
Yeah, you build a deck. Yep.
Yeah, like you would think it's a pool. We got a karaoke room. We've got this dining room. There's a red button that you might see kind of like in the corner there. If you push that red button, all the lights turn off and this disco ball starts spinning, and then ABBA's Dancing Queen starts playing. We had this pool table refelted to be pink.
Look at you. Damn, look at that.
Yeah. So really top to bottom, we've had influencer events with Roxy come out and stay. Like literal models have stayed here. I've had music videos shot here. I have lifestyle photography. So this just goes to show you, I didn't half-ass it. All right. That's kind of the moral of the story.
So let's talk about that. So, okay. What'd the house cost you, right? You go into contract. What was the house?
Okay. This house cost, 440,000. I bought it creative finance.
Okay.
So I took over payments. It was like a hybrid. So it was partial sub to partial seller finance.
Right. For the equity. Got it.
For the equity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so that's why I'm at $2,300. The design, there's a couple caveats here. Okay. So the design, kind of everything that I put into it, I'd say it was in the $100,000 range.
Yeah, it had to be.
And then I completely remodeled the property. I put $200K into the property. So here's the caveat. I could have refied all that money out and raised my mortgage and all that stuff. I'm a little bit against convention here. I love having just a fat, well, now it's less because Austin has taken a shit. But at the time, I like having a fat equity spread in my properties. Okay. So I didn't, for me, I was kind of celebrating this $2,500 a month payment. And I was like, if I refi, it's going to go up to $4,500.
Right.
I could get like 6 figures back, but I just feel protected that this property will just always make me, $60K a year.
So again, so you put 100K into the house and you put 200K into the yard.
Yeah. 300K.
Okay.
So
I'm going to guess that most Airbnb hosts don't have that kind of stroke.
No. And again, there are ways that I could have approached that, because if you think about it, like I could have done like a hard money loan. I could have remodeled it. I could have refied it. There's a lot of approaches that someone could take to do that. The best approach to take is to not buy the specific house that I bought, which was old and janky. But I'm a believer that you can go and find a house literally just like this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've actually had someone rip me off 2 minutes down the road, like literally, like pink pickleball court, disco balls in the fire pit, all that stuff. But like you could find this house in Austin, for example, for $400K. You could put down 80 to buy it, and then you could put down 100. I mean, it's still 180K. Yeah. But it just goes to show you that, all right, you're in 180 to get this property that would make you 60,000 a year net. That's still good. And even on the numbers I just gave you, it's still a 20% cash on cash return.
No, this is why being elite is different, right? It really in anything in investing. If you spend the time to do the work, you learn the lessons the hard way, right? This ain't your first unit.
No,
you can become.
It was a turning point. It was a turning point for me. It's not my first, but it was the big one for me. Like where I was like, I'm going to go all out. I'm going to be for real. I did this and I was like, oh, got it.
So this was a pivot for you. You went from maybe an old model that was very spreadsheet driven to creating an experience. This is your first experience?
That specific thing that you just said, where it's like, I'm going to go with the data, which a little bit of context here. I didn't just randomly decide to do a bachelorette party. My partner, Bridget, at Funkit, she was like, hey, Austin is the top 10 city for bachelorette parties, and there are no Airbnbs in Austin that are serving that demographic. We could be that Airbnb.
No shit.
So I was like, okay, well, the data doesn't really exist. It says I'm going to make 50 to 60,000. She goes, it doesn't, but I've done enough of these in other cities to know it will likely work. Okay. And so we took other comps in Austin that were kind of themed, but not like this. And we use that to kind of make our hypothesis. And, when you think about it, man, like bachelorettes, they're spending so much money.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. Again, if you're getting married and you got 15 girlfriends, it doesn't take a lot to all of you chip in and have a weekend that you will never forget.
Yeah, for sure. And so this property books for $1,299, $1,300. Actually, I just raised it to $1,500. a night.
Is that a day? Sorry, 1,500 a night.
A night. Now it's what I've gotten historically is $1,299, so $1,300 a night, 3-night minimum. So basically about $4,500, sometimes 5,000. It kind of depends.
Sure.
I am booked every weekend, man, from March through like October.
That's awesome.
So it's crazy. And now I just added this. I converted the garage into a karaoke room, and we can talk about that. That's talking about. I want to talk about investing more into your Airbnbs here in a second, but.
Well, yeah, let's do one more thing on this, because I want to whet people's appetite. Obviously, they now can do research on bachelorette destinations. At Funkit or in your portfolio, what other themes have you tackled that you've seen really, really work?
You know, we just launched a. I have to be careful. That's fine. We're not going to get it, but we just did like a Harry Potter theme.
Don't tell my wife. We just went to Orlando, and that's all she wanted to see was Harry Potter theme park.
Dude, and it's really good. Like, I'm not a Harry Potter guy myself, but like it's amazing. And it wasn't like the owner came to us. They're like, we really want to do this, because they bought this house that was like kind of old-timey cobblestone, kind of castle-y looking, and they were like, what do we do with this? And so we batted around some ideas. We all landed on the Harry Potter thing, but it doesn't. Here's the other thing I see on Airbnbs that just kill me, man, is just that people will buy. Well, they'll attempt a theme, but their theme is just so corny, like, or it's just so like terribly done. They'll go to Walmart. Like, let's just say if you wanted to do a Super Mario theme, okay. What that means to people is they're going to say, okay, yeah, I'm going to go to Spencer's or Walmart, and I'm going to go to the poster section, and I'm going to buy a Super Mario poster and put that on the wall. And then I'm going to get red blankets, and then I'm going to get a throw pillow that has Super Mario on it. And then I'm going to say it's the Super Mario house. And it's like, no, what you did is you created a really kitschy, corny thing that like nobody actually wants to stay at. And I see it all the time because, you know, people follow me and they see the theme that we'll do. And, you know, there's a fine line between a theme that's immersive and feels like an actual experience and kind of like a tchotchke driven, like Spencer's gift shop type of place.
So let's try to give people a number, because again, I get it, right? The theme versus a bunch of crap thrown together. If you're going to do a theme, I'm just imagining you've got to be willing to spend at least 20 grand. If not 50, if you're really going to, even if you just do the house.
Yeah, I was going to say 20 is pretty low. You could, if you were really scrappy, but generally speaking, I would say like the 30 to 50K gets you something pretty decent, assuming that your house isn't like 5,000 square feet, 10 bedrooms. We're typically budgeting out at Funkit about like $3,500 a space. So
that makes sense.
And that includes your bathrooms, that includes your kitchen. So like, let's say you have a 3-bedroom home, and then you have a living room, and then and like 2 bathrooms and a kitchen. That's 7. So you would multiply 7 times 3,500. That gets you roughly 25K in just your furnishings.
I like it.
So generally back in the day, we used to say it was $10 a square foot to furnish your Airbnb. And it was. Now, dude, I mean, if you're lucky and you're talking like a quality place, maybe 20, maybe, but really it's like we're getting into that $25 to $40 a square foot for a solid Airbnb. And that's where everybody's losing right now, man, because they're listening to these arbitrage guys that are like, you can get a 1-bedroom apartment, no cash out of your pocket, credit cards, furnish it for $5,000. And then like all these people will list these arbitrage units and then just bleed because their design sucks. Yeah, so I'm seeing it all the time. Like that's another group of people that are having a tough time right now, are the arbitrage people that spent pennies to just throw a couch and like a dresser in their apartment. And they're like, see, arbitrage. And then they don't book. And they're like, Airbnb's
what
dead.
Happened? Yeah. Well, let's talk about that top 10% becoming elite at something, because I think you brought it up earlier. The key to this is reinvesting.
Yes.
So just talk about that.
Cool. So here's my big thesis. Here's kind of what I've been making my platform for the past 2 years. And it's that reinvesting back into your Airbnb 9 times out of 10 is the most profitable thing that you can do as an Airbnb host. So let's talk about what that means. The problem is the majority of investors, the majority of long-term investors, short-term investors, they have what's called door disease. This was a term given that Luke Carl from the Short Term Shop told me one time. And it is, I need more doors. That's all people care about. And when he said that term, I'm like, dude, that's exactly how it is. Because when I got into it, I was making it, $1,000 a month for my arbitrages. I'm like, dude, how do I get 10?
Yeah,
I need
exactly.
10, I need 20. So I understand it. And so a lot of people tend to launch their second, third, fourth, or fifth Airbnb too early before they've perfected their first Airbnb. And so let's talk about reinvesting into your Airbnb, what that actually means and why it's important. So the hardest place that most investors find themselves is trying to get to the second property, whether it's long-term, whatever, but in Airbnb, the second one. Okay. Because I just told you, if you want to do a theme, if you want to find a property like this, $180,000 to do it the way I do it. So it takes a long time to save up $180,000, right? Because we're not all making just that much cash so where we can just do that. You spend the $180,000, and now every investor that does that thinks, well, shit, how do I get another $180,000? And so I can't tell you the amount of people that come to me and say, Rob, I got 20 grand. I got 30 grand. What do I do? I feel so hopeless. I can't get into another property. Like, do I really have to wait 5 years? The unfortunate answer is sometimes yes. Like, you do just have to save money. Like that is how it works. And that might mean that you have to go and figure out how to make money. But you do have to save money. Sure. However, the real answer is with $20,000 or $30,000, even less, you can just put that back into your property and probably make a significantly more impactful ROI on that $20,000.
Well, let's talk about that. So you're on your first one and you've got that 20K, and I love the coaching. Don't go buy the next one. Don't rush it. You haven't fixed the first one yet. Where would you recommend people, like, maybe give me the top 3 areas that people should focus on investing back into? What would you improve with that 20 grand?
I'll give you small, medium, large. Perfect. Okay. Small. One time I flew, I had photos of a property that I have in Scottsdale, and it was crickets at that property, very high holding costs. And I was just trying to figure out, like, what can I do to make more money? I looked at the photography and saw that the photography was pretty, just not great. So I hired my buddy. His name is Eric Barkhurst. You can find him on Instagram, Barkhurst Studios. He drove out from LA or Orange County all the way to Scottsdale. I paid him like $500, and he reshot the property. He's a photographer.
Understood.
His photo, like his one photo, and I'll try to pull it up for you here in a second, but his one photo that he took for me, I uploaded. It's a really fantastic photo. Made me $18,000 in 24 hours.
Wow.
So, and this is like, I'll show you what it looks like. It was that photo.
Wow, that's beautiful.
So it's a beautiful photo. And
shows the whole house, gives a view, like
the sunset. It's a magnificent photo. So I spent
an $18,000 photo. Hell yeah, it is.
That's what I always say. It's my $18,000 photo. So the lesson here is usually the first thing that you can do is just get a better set of shots at your property. That is the most extreme case. All right. You're probably not going to make $18,000 from a set of photos. You might. I mean, it happened to me. So I can't even, if someone told me that story, I'd be like, yeah, right, dude. But it did happen. So,
photos matter. Makes perfect sense. People really visualize it first.
But there's a difference between professional photos and like professional photos. And a lot of people will hire these like real estate photographers that, might take like MLS photos, right? Professional shots, but those are just so different because those are meant to be bright and like airy and crispy, like just kind of different than the vibe. With Airbnb, you kind of need someone to like feel like the home is a homey, warm place.
Right.
You might want to stage charcuterie boards. If you remember the Pink Pickle shots that I showed you earlier, I had women like with pickleball paddles and they're like smiling on the court. So that's another thing you can do is like lifestyle photography, where you actually have models come out and you take photos. And again, there's a fine line there because a lot of people try to do this on their cell phone. They try to the thing that kills me is someone will spend $180,000 on an Airbnb, or let's just say it's an arbitrage unit. They spend $20,000 and they're like, I'm going to do it right. And then they have the audacity to take cell phone photos and call it a day. And they let these free cell phone photos tank their, 6-figure investment. And I'm just like, and then they'll ask me for my feedback and they're like, Rob, my listing's not doing well. Like, what do you think? What do you think the problem could be? And I'm like, do you not watch my content? Like, photography is like the single most important thing that someone can do. I can't stress that enough.
All right. So that's the low. That's the small. What's the medium?
Yeah. Okay. Medium would be hot tub. Generally speaking, hot tubs add anywhere from like $40 to $50 to your ADR. I think that's the stat last time I checked it. Okay. That is particularly true in places like the Smoky Mountains. And so a lot of people don't have hot tubs, man. Hot tubs are they're the bane of my existence. I'll say that. They're the things that crap out the most, or that I get complaints they're dirty, there's leaves in them, hasn't been clean. It is a frustrating amenity to have, but it is probably, I would say universally the most important amenity across the Airbnb landscape. And that's about 7 to 8K.
Okay, 7 to 8K. All right.
Yeah.
Do you like your pools? Do you build decks around them, or these are just the standard squares?
Really good question. When I first started, and for like 90% of my Airbnbs, they are just the standard hot tub. But man, there's a huge difference between just plunking down a hot tub and then like actually trying to make your hot tub a vibe and like look nice. And so there's a couple little things that you can do if you want to amp up like your hot tub. And if you want to get like, if you're going to spend the 7K, I'd rather you spend the 10 for what I'm about to tell you. Okay. So basically hot tub on some kind of like gravel kind of surround, like just some kind of thing that looks nice around it. I don't want the hot tub on the ground on dirt. So if you can do like some kind of metal trim around it and fill it up with like crushed blackstone. Something like that. A neon sign in the background. So that's what I have here in Houston. And then if you want to like really plus it up and impress me, build like a little like bar top that goes around. Doesn't have to be expensive. I'm talking like a 2x8 that wraps around half of the hot tub so that people can put their beers and drinks. Because if you don't do that, what's going to happen is people are going to go into your hot tub with their beer. They're going to have nowhere to put it. They're going to put it on the side. And then when they go to grab it, they're going to be, and then it's going to spill into the hot tub. And now you got, gross hot tub water. And then your next guest comes in and they're like, yo, why is your hot tub, murky and gray? Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. I like it.
So like, it really is those things like the crushed blackstone, the neon sign, the bar. I like slatted fences. Like a slatted fence around it. That to me is a pretty important thing too. Like to make it just feel enclosed. I want to find like a good example of this. Isn't like the best example, but it's a decent example. Let me show you one real fast. Just so you can kind of contextualize what I'm telling you here. So this is a little backyard. This was a little driveway that you can this was a driveway, but I decided to enclose this with a $2,000 fence.
I like it.
And I basically made it like a side yard. So as you can see, in the background, I have a hot tub, neon sign. I've got a little plant. I've got the crushed blackstone right around it. Let's see if I can find a more close up hot tub. But yeah, basically something that makes someone say, oh my God, we're going to have so much fun like hanging out in this hot tub. That's all we want. Howdy, Houston. Now that they can take a photo, they can take selfies, and it feels like a more elevated than just like a dinky hot tub. That's my thought.
Makes perfect sense.
That's medium.
All right. Oh man, if that's medium, I can't wait for big. What's going on here?
All right. Big would be, maybe something in the pickleball court or in
does that cost? I have no idea what it costs to lay down a pickleball court.
Man, if you have a homey contractor like I do, about 20K. But really they're going to cost you 25 to 40K generally.
Yeah, because you got to treat the dirt. You got to make it flat.
You got to pour a fat slab. I mean, 50 by 70 slab. It's big, because I think regulation is 44 by 30. And so you want the apron on the side, and then you want like, all that stuff. So it's not insignificant. So I think I just got a quote in Joshua Tree for a pickleball court for $28,000. That doesn't even include the fence, because sometimes you want the metal fence around. That's another 5 to 10K.
Wow.
I don't think you need all that. But here's my story on pickleball court. So the Scottsdale property that I was telling you about, that property was not doing so hot. So, but it had this like dilapidated pickleball court. No, it had a dilapidated tennis court that came with the home. And we told ourselves, oh, when we make money, we'll invest into it. Well, we never made the money. And so I went to my partner. I'm like, yo, dude, we've got to do this.
This is a problem.
And he was like, all right, if you really think it'll turn things around. And I was like, I do. So we got a quote. We didn't even have to report it. We just needed it to get resurfaced. So they came and grinded out some of the cracks, filled it in, painted it. I think we spent $25,000 to not just get like one pickleball court, but we got 3. We call it.
You got 3 courts?
Yeah.
How big is this lot?
It's 5 acres.
Oh,
and it's kind of like a luxury kind of mansion.
How many people sleep there?
We can have up to 20, but Airbnb only lets you promote 16. So
okay, got it.
That's what you can kind of see here.
Look at that
majestic photo. It looks really great. So that was 25K. The results, now granted, this is the big kind of the extreme again. Luckily, I'm proud to say that I typically have the extreme on my experiments, the extreme success, but this one turned everything around for the profitability and got us to a point where we're like, all right, well, we're not bleeding now. But like year over year, we're talking like my worst month, I did 7,000 on a $17,000 mortgage. Okay. So that's, yep. 10K loss. And very easy to be like Airbnb's dead, but I'm like, no, there's something here because my comps are making money. So I made 7K. A year later, post pickleball court, that same month, we did like 35K. And then the next month after that, 12K. Post, we did 40K. And then we had like 4 or 5 $40,000 months gross.
Yep.
In a row, coming off of $12,000 months the year before.
Good for you.
That $25,000 investment made us about $150,000 more in revenue. So that was, again, that's a low hanging fruit there, but that's like a pickleball court. Pink Pickle has it. Every property that has a pickleball court for me generally does well.
Do you name all of your properties to get that cachet?
Yes and no. Not really. Just the ones that I feel kind of are worth it, but I think naming properties on Airbnb is kind of useless. If you have a direct booking website where you're taking bookings off of the platform and it's your own website, then I think it's good to have a name and a brand for Instagram. But if you're just like a single operator, I really don't like to see the name of your property in the title of your Airbnb because you only get like 50 characters. When someone's like hidden retreat Mecca or like whatever their names are in the title, what they've done is they've taken 40% of the characters and now they have no space to talk about the amenities. If you're on Airbnb, you want to list every amenity that you have in the title up to 50 characters. And so for me, you'll see all of my titles are like karaoke, pickleball, pool. That's it. Like there's nothing fancy about it. You want to list 4 amenities that your property has in your title. So when you name it and put it in your title, you're leaving money on the table.
Love the advice. All right, so let's talk about people getting started in 2025. And if I were to break down, this starts with the buy. What should people be looking at if they were looking to buy their first or next STR in this environment? What should they look at and what should they skip?
Okay, I am a believer in single family homes over condos. Okay. You can be successful with the condo. I know lots of people that are. I just feel like the appreciation is tough. The HOAs are typically they have the ability to
can be brutal. Yeah, can be brutal.
Obviously you have assessments that are possible. Like these are all there's a mirror set of things that can affect you on single family homes, but in general condos, I'm not a fan because the only thing that you have in your corner is design. And Funkit has designed a lot of condos and we've done really well for those people. And so if someone already has a condo, I'm like, dude, it's fine. Roll with what you got. But if you're like coming to me and you're like, what should I get? I'm generally going to go for a house because we're in this like fork in the road in the Airbnb world where people are realizing like hey, why not just go get a hotel? Like everybody's like, there's that whole hotel sentiment, right? And so if your Airbnb is basically just a hotel with a kitchen, you're just you have a higher chance of losing out because of the perception and the taboo. And people are like, I don't want to pay the cleaning fee, right? So to me, the big differentiator now is not just interior design, but exterior design in backyard design or side yard or whatever you have. And so I think if someone is looking to buy a property, it is more important than ever to find a property with some kind of space outside that you can have people hang out in and like breathe a little bit. Because at the end of the day, no matter what size your house is, if you got 16 people in your house, that's a lot of people in a house. Like most houses,
that's a lot of people. Yeah,
dude, most houses are 2,000 to 3,000 square feet. So even if it's a 5-bedroom home that can do 16 people, like it's going to be smelly in there, right? So if you have a backyard where you can say, hey, go outside and hang out, we've got mini golf, we've got whatever. That to me is a much smarter move. And you don't even have to go that big. Like you can, no matter what the theory holds, because like tiny homes are the same thing. Like even if tiny homes only fit 2 people, tiny homes are cute until they're not. Like if you're in a tiny home and you're bumping elbows and like you're on a romantic trip and it's a small little place and you got to go use the restroom and like you've got anxiety about that because you don't want your girlfriend to smell things, you know, you're just like, that's me, dude. I was like that. I'm like, I'm very conscious about that. Tiny homes more than ever need big outdoor spaces if you want to succeed. So to me, I'm like, you just need the outdoor space. I've got properties in Fredericksburg. They are all 300 to 400 square feet. They are tiny homes, A-frames, geodomes, hobbit homes, but they all have outdoor spaces. And every single one of those units do 7 to 10K a month in gross revenue. Very, very high for that unit size. And it's because we put so much effort into just giving people like outdoor space. So I think that's kind of like backyard, something where you can mirror your experience inside on the outside.
Like it. And then again, I think you've told us already, but kind of closing that out, if you are going to get your first one, don't be in a rush to the second one, right? Really learn the lessons, get good at your craft. Because if you rush to the second and third one, you could just build on quicksand and the whole empire could build or crash.
It's rare for me to look at someone's listing and say, I've got no notes. Like, you know, like genuinely, it's very rare. There's been a handful of times where I'm like, dude, you perfected it. You know, one of my students might have really checked literally every box. And I'm like, okay, you can go buy, I allow you to go buy your next unit.
Right.
But in most cases, people don't have, there's just more you can always do. Like that Pink Pickle property that I showed you, that was a great property. It was going to make 110 to 120 as is, but we had this garage space that was completely unused. And I think garages are the biggest waste of space in an Airbnb. So we converted it, turned it into that karaoke room and into a bedroom at the same time. We added 400 square feet of conditioned space to the house. We spent $20,000 to get it done. We probably added minimum that to the ARV. And now as a result, I'm expecting that property to be in the 140s next year. So that $20,000 investment, if it goes the way I think, will be a 100% return in a year's time. And every year after that.
And every year after. That's the key. Yeah.
It's not always that good, but it doesn't have to be. Like you can spend, dude, I mean, imagine you can spend $7,000 on a hot tub and you will likely make, I mean, it is so unlikely that this won't be the case, but you will likely make an extra $7,000 a year. Once you've already become profitable, like every dollar that you make after your profitability is going to your bottom line.
Yep.
You're going to host the same amount of guests. You're going to have the same amount of cleaning fees. The only difference is you're charging more. And so if you can go from $50,000 to $57,000 on your $7,000 hot tub investment, you're going to pay a little bit more for like your hot tub servicing. But in general, like you're talking like a 50% return on that $7,000. If you can do that every year, like you can just spend 7K here, 7K here, 7K here. Eventually you max it out, but there's just usually like so much more money to make. If you're like making that $50,000 mark, your property has a lot of potential. Like I've just seen people jump it up to 120, like my property. A lot of people, you know, would look at my Pink Pickle property and say, oh, great. Yeah, 50K. I invested all that at the beginning, and now I'm making 2x what literally everyone in the neighborhood is making because I checked pretty much every box. And dude, and there's still things I want to do.
I love that. I love that. Folks, at the end of the day, it is true that lots of people are losing money in Airbnb in 2025, but most of the people aren't doing the work. They aren't doing the things. They just throw it up there and pray. They got terrible photos. They don't have a theme. They don't have a plan. Again, if you take the time to become elite, Airbnb or short-term rentals can be a way to print money. It's not easy, but it is certainly possible. Rob, what are your closing thoughts and where can people find you?
Closing thoughts are just remember the loud critics of Airbnb. It's kind of like reviews. Like typically disgruntled people, you'll see those reviews more often because happy people just don't really ever think to leave reviews. And you have to ask, you have to be like, did you enjoy this? And they're like, yeah. And you're like, please leave me a review. And they're like, oh yeah, of course. Whereas, mad people are like, I have it out for this business. I'm going to go leave a bad review. So it's the same with Airbnb where you see all the operators like crying uncle basically, but all the people that are like raking in money, yeah, I know them. Like I know thousands of people that are doing this and they're all like, I don't know what they're talking about, man. Like I'm having a good time. They're like personally great. I'm glad everyone's getting out because I'm going to find really good deals now. So just don't fall for the noise. I don't know. Talk to me. Go to the Rob Built channel, ROBUILT. I actually just made a whole podcast that I dropped yesterday that basically talks about exterior amenities and like what, the 101 blueprint for all of that. So go check out that video if you want to, and on Instagram.
There you go, folks. Again, it is possible. It is certainly a way to do it. Again, as I tell you all the time, there are 3 steps to getting wealthy, and step 2 is becoming elite. If you want to do it in short-term rentals, you got to follow Rob. Go to Robuilt. Check him out on YouTube. He's got nearly 300,000 subscribers, so he's bringing the value. Thanks, buddy. Take care.
Bye.
There you go.